From the one end of the country to the other, Toyota GR Cup North America spans the United States and makes its way from Sonoma to Sebring International Raceway. One freshly paved and as smooth as can be, the other in sweltering heat and a bumpy track to boot. This is the true test of car and driver here at this wonderful Florida circuit. DJ Clark up here in the booth alongside Kyle Heyer. And Kyle, we've already got cars rolling off because we're ready to go racing.
Yeah, certainly. It's good to be back here at Sebring. The most important part about this was the penultimate round in our championship last season, round 2 of 2024. The context in which we're racing today, totally different. The championship is still anybody's race at this point in the season.
It certainly is, but Gresham Wagner has already staked his claim to that championship, holding on to a sweep of wins in Sonoma, and now on pole position as well. We'll have to see how Gresham is able to do and how the rest of his Copeland Motorsports teammates are able to get their way forward. But the real question remains, because this is a bit of a jumbled up order, courtesy of some red flags thrown during qualifying.
Yeah, there was a holdup in qualifying, and while the drivers were going back out on the racetrack to resume their qualifying efforts, a handful of cars got penalized and didn't get a second attempt at qualifying. But Gresham Wagner will start up on the front row alongside the number 88 of Henry Drury.
Then it's Spike Kohlbecker in P3 with Weston Workman in P4. Lucas Weisenberg for Lucas Racing starts 5th with Jackson Bell, another Copeland Motorsports entry, in P6. Jordan Rick Segrini making his return to the series. First time he's been in a car since Indianapolis. Lines up alongside Aiden Yoder. And then Tyler Wettengill and Adam Brickley round out your top 10.
And starting in 11th, it's Mia Lovell, one of those cars that was penalized in qualifying 2, didn't get a second lap attempt. Julian DaCosta starts alongside her. Then it's Casey Mashore in 13th place in the number 50, Maddie Oust in 14th in the 09. Luke Rumberg starts in row number 8 alongside Stephen Clemens in the 76. Max Hewitt in the 39 starts 17th alongside Ford Cook in the number 21. In 19th place, it's William Lambros in the 77 and Alex Hayner in the 43 in 20th.
As we move back into row 11, it's Devin Anderson, maybe starting a little bit out of position there with Bennett Muldoon to his outside. The Canadian Braden Arthur starts 23rd, and James Clemens starts 24th. Spencer Bucknam, another driver potentially out of position, starts 25th. Farron Davis to his outside. Row 14 is Alfonso Diaz and Alex Garcia. Pulling double duty this weekend is Alex Garcia, as well as graduating college. Congratulations to him. And Jade Avedizian will be last on the field here today. But Kyle, in terms of being able to get this 3.7-mile circuit correct, how are you able to get it right?
Yeah, this is a really tricky racetrack to get right because it's 17 corners and 3.74 miles. This is a really long lap. If you're off by a tenth of a second in any of these corners or all of them together, you're off by nearly 2 seconds over the duration of this lap. But this is so fast and it's flat, but it has texture. Concrete airport runways and taxiways from the old Hendricks Army Airfield Base. It's been here since 1950, and the sands of time have weathered this place down.
Yeah, it certainly has, and I think some of those big zones that we're going to have to talk about, turn 17, where there's a lot of bumpiness, turn 1 as well, kind of the bookends to the track here at this point. But everyone working their way down the Ullman Straight, part of those old runways and taxiways that you mentioned up. Gresham Wagner, Henry Drury, as we start to form up and go too wide.
Yeah, once again, the biggest story from qualifying was those penalties were for a lot of the Copeland Motorsports cars that have been pretty persistent at the front of the field. But because of that, it was an opportunity for Drury, Kohlbecker, and Lucas Weisenberg to jump up in the mix, and Jordan Rick Segrini, who will roll off 7th in that BSI racing car. So a bit of a mixed up order for the start of this race, which means that Gresham Wagner better run before those other Copeland teammates get up there and mix it up front.
He's certainly better. He will have control of the field as the pace car pulls off down into pit lane. And this field of 29 GR Cup cars makes their way out of Sunset Bend, entering into the VP acceleration zone. Little bit of a poke out of line, but there goes the green. We are racing here in Sebring. It looks like a good getaway there for Gresham Wagner. Fan out coming from behind. That's legal as long as it's after the start-finish stripe. There we see almost 4 wide farther back in the field. Kohlbecker making a good move on Henry Drury as we're almost 3 wide coming through turn 1.
We are 3 wide. Mia Lovell in the middle of it. A couple of cars dropping tires at corner exit. There was a big stack up on the driver's right line. A couple of cars ran into each other nose to tail. Good news is these cars are pretty strong and it shouldn't be much of an issue. Drury jumps the curb there at turn 4.
Drury getting mugged here at this point. That's 2 cars, 2 positions he's lost in 2 corners, as it looks like Jackson Bell is the latest to try to make a little bit of a run on him. The Copeland Motorsports crew trying to go side by side. That's 44 of Aiden Yoder and the 18 of Jordan Rick Segrini going side by side through Big Bend.
Yeah, Jordan Rick Segrini has been really impressive. Hasn't been in any race car since Indianapolis last October, and making quick work of the field here as he starts in the top 10. Little side by side with Jackson Bell there on the attack into the hairpin.
Yeah, Bell trying to do that. A little bit of body work coming off to the side there. Still side by side between Aiden Yoder and Jordan Rick Segrini. They're bumping and banging all their way through into Cunningham Corner.
I'll tell you, there was some nose-to-tail contact. I think the part that came off was a Toyota emblem off the nose of one of these cars. So a little bit of pushing and shoving here early. Max Hewitt on the lunge up the inside of William Lambros in the 77. And Spencer Bucknam making another run in that Precision Racing LA number 7. He was phenomenal in race 2 at Sonoma, trying to get another great result here this afternoon.
Yes, certainly is. There's the 57 in the background. That's Mia Lovell that we mentioned a little bit earlier. She's got to try to gain some positions here early on, courtesy of that penalty that she got during qualifying. There you see the whole field. Looks like we've got a few drivers trying to sense themselves out there. Spencer Bucknam trying to get a little bit of a run, but it's not going to play through Bishop Bend. This is where this track goes from multi-groove to single file.
Yeah, you have to get single file here into Jean Dubienne in turn 16. Little lateral slide for Gresham Wagner, using every ounce of the racetrack. Aiden Yoder uses a little too much. Drops off into the rut beyond the curbing there at turn 16. A few more drivers will join him as well. Now sweeping down the back straightaway, trying to break that slipstream is Gresham Wagner.
Yeah, Wagner trying to break the slipstream. Meanwhile, Jackson Bell trying to take every inch of it that he can behind Henry Drury. Bell going to try to dive that car a little bit deeper in, looking for the crossover move. It's not going to work. Drury well defended on the corner. That's the 46 there of Lucas Weisenberg. He's got a little bit of pressure coming up from behind him, though.
Yeah, that is Jordan Rick Segrini right in tow of Lucas Weisenberg. Look at Drury picking middle of the road here. 24-year-old English-born driver, but Tampa, Florida is his current residence. This is sort of a home race, I guess you could say. And he's the winner of the inaugural PT Autosport Aspiring Driver Shootout, but he's getting shoved off at turn number 1. Here comes Jackson Bell.
That was an aggressive and heads-up play from Jackson Bell, getting the crossover to work, and Lucas Weisenberg says, I'd like some of that, please. Moves his way down to the inside, and more contact for Henry Drury. He is getting mugged for the second time in as many laps.
That's tough math there. The track narrows down to about 2.5 car widths wide, tall curbs on either side. And when the front straightaway is like 8 car widths wide, it's just very, very challenging to narrow things down. But Wagner leads by 1.1 over Spike Kohlbecker, and Weston Workman is up into 3rd place over Drury and Bell. Actually, Drury got knocked down there in Sector 1, so he ends up 7th as they head down to the hairpin.
Oh, a little bit of dirt kicked up there as Spike Kohlbecker came up and around as he tries to close in on Gresham Wagner. Wagner has done what he needs to do. 1.1 seconds the gap here at this point. Make that 1.4 seconds. He is starting to stretch this advantage as much as possible. Meanwhile, Kohlbecker really having to look behind because we know the speed that Weston Workman has, and he is trying to put the moves on him.
Yeah, there's the 46 gear wrench car of Lucas Weisenberg. He was up in the mix with the Copeland Motorsports cars at Sonoma, putting pressure on all of them. I think he'll be a championship hopeful, but he's got to work a little closer to the front in this race. You have to capitalize on all the points you can. There's not enough rounds in this championship to really give up anything to drivers like Wagner or Kohlbecker. 2 of those drivers that were up in the top 3 last year in 2023.
Yeah, there's Jackson Bell, another one of those drivers. Had a very rough run here last time out in Sebring. Got involved in a pretty massive accident coming down through Sunset Bend. I believe Lucas Weisenberg was also involved in that. But Jackson certainly proving that he has the ability to push his way back forward here at this point, running in 4th place and has an eye on that podium, trying to work in on his teammate of Weston Workman for Copeland Motorsports.
I'm noticing early on in this race in the first 5 minutes is we've seen at times at these larger tracks cars fan out into groups, but now we're kind of one long stretched out line waiting for those groups to formulate as drivers draft together. And I don't know where the divisions will be in those groups, but typically it's 2 to 4 cars that seem to be strongest together. I think Kohlbecker and Workman will probably want to work together to run down Wagner, even though Wagner's Workman's teammate.
Yeah, I think they will. I mean, as I said earlier, Gresham Wagner has put the target on his back here at this point as the driver to beat. By the way, that side-by-side you see in the back, that's Luke Rumberg, and Adam Brickley making some moves on by him, the number 80 as well, looking like he's trying to get some to go. A lot of dirt kicked up in front there.
Whoever split the difference there in between Brickley and the 31 of Luke Rumberg, that was Tyler Wettingel. There wasn't a lot of space between those cars, was there, on the exit of turn 1. Brickley jumps the rumble strip. 15-year-old Brickley, by the way, doing a very nice job here early in the going.
Yeah, he's holding on to 8th place position as they run, so that's a very, very impressive run for the young man as the number 80 of Tyler Wettingel. They are now going to try to close in behind. That Nitro Motorsports driver has a little coaching from the former champion here, Tyler Gonzalez, is there maybe trying to take a little bit of a move from Tyler. Looking to the outside, Wettingel not going to get it to play. Rumberg tries to get it to go. Aiden Yoder, and that's the 57 of Mia Lovell as well, almost getting into it.
Yeah, Lovell's doing a nice job. She didn't get the qualifying effort she was hoping for because of those qualifying penalties. That meant she didn't get a second run at a fast lap earlier this morning. So she's doing a nice job making up positions, trying to get inside the top 10 like she did at Sonoma. But a big lunge here from Rumberg down into turn 10, side by side with Wettingel here again. This gets tight, little contact and tire up there with some Continental sidewall meeting the fender there.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a donut right there at that point. They're going to try to sort themselves out, and it looks like that number 31's going to get to go. And nice move there for Aiden Yoder, recognizing the opportunity left by the 80 of Tyler Wettingel and stealing its place away.
It's fascinating watching these cars duel side by side into corners that both drivers know they can't go through side by side, and how they're organizing sliding back into single file. They're actually doing a nice job of that so far. A little 2x2 further back though. I think one of those cars is the 14, I believe. 15 maybe. 14. I was right.
You were right the first time. You second-guessed yourself, my friend. Here as they come now down through Le Mans. That's going to be the 09 and the 22 trying to sort themselves out. Maddie House getting her elbows out a little bit more in a battle with Devin Anderson. We said that was going to be one to watch. There's a lot of dirt being kicked up on the edge, and there's a lot of body work that has the potential to go flying if they keep battling like that off of Le Mans.
We're in Central Florida, but like driving through the Sahara back there through turn 16, through the cloud it does. Little 3-wide action there. That 14 car mentioned, Alex Garcia, pulls ahead of Maddie Houst, and the 24, Jade Abadizian, with that tail end start. She's climbing through the field very quickly up to 24th place as she's side by side with Max Hewitt from the BSI Racing Camp.
Yeah, she's going to try to carry some more momentum around the outside, but Hewitt does a good job to prevent that momentum from going. Oh, little bit of action there farther back in the pack as they try to sort themselves out. I think that was Jade Abadizian getting her elbows out just a little bit on, is that Spencer Bucknam
yes.
there? Yeah, not taking no for an answer is Jade Abadizian, but we've got to jump back up to the battle for P2 because Kohlbecker, Workman, and Bell are all on top of each other.
We're about to find out if Spike Kohlbecker is going to be an honorary member of the Copeland Motorsports team today. Will they work with him to run down Wagner, or will it be a battle for second? That's the question now. There's a lot of racing left, EJ. 36 minutes. I don't know that I would give up a chance to win to have second right now. I'd work with this 55 and try to catch that leader. They've got time to do it, but are they going to be quicker as a group than Wagner is on his own?
Well, we've only got one way to find out, and that is to sit here and continue to watch this fantastic battle that we see. They spread out a little bit coming out of the turn 7 hairpin. Now making their way towards Cunningham. Wagner has the gap at 2.3 seconds as things stand. Kohlbecker jumping onto the binders right there as they come through the corner, trying to sort themselves out a little bit. Here as they go through Collier, lining up for Tower. Jackson Bell looks like he's the one in prime position to make an attack as he stalks behind Weston Workman.
And then behind this group, it's Weisenberg, Rick Segrini, and Henry Drury. Then a bit of the gap back to Brickley, Luke Rumberg, and Aiden Yoder. So if that second group can get organized and run up to the 3 cars running second, third, and fourth, now you've got a pack. And typically you can find cars at the front of a pack going quicker than cars on their own, but that's not when Gresham Wagner's by himself. He's been able to run very strong laps even without a draft. His cars jump and straddle the curbing there. Fair game as long as you keep a tire touching a rumble strip.
As long as you keep a tire touching the rumble strip, you are absolutely fine. That may be fit into the wheelhouse there of Mia Lovell, who's a former skateboarder. She knows all about riding the rails like that, so she may be able to get her way up and ahead. More dust being kicked up in the back.
Yeah, she got spun out there last year, actually, when she was grinding over the top of those curbs. Someone ran into the back of her, spun her around, and she spent the rest of the race earning back those positions she lost. She didn't have to do that today, but she currently resides P12. Kohlbecker a bit wide at 17. Workman right behind, running very different lines through that final corner. It lends itself to that because the bumps are different across the width of the surface, so some drivers might find it more comfortable to run run in the bottom, some in the middle, some way out by the edge of the racetrack.
Yeah, I like what Workman's doing here at this point, Kyle. He's taking little pokes and prods on Spike Kohlbecker. He's not committing himself to a move necessarily, but he's just seeing if he can get in the head of Spike Kohlbecker. Now he's going to take a bigger lunge. Coming down into turn 3, down into the inside goes Weston Workman. Smooth move for the number 13.
Yeah, the JBL car up into second place, and that might be a good time to listen to those JBL speakers, because as he drops into second place, I was going to mention that the lap times were slower than Gresham Wagner, so try a different order here. See if maybe Workman can pull you back forward to the 5 of Gresham Wagner, but I think they're going to scrap and battle here. They're disagreeing over who should lead this freight train.
Yes, they are. It looks like Jackson Bell chose the line there of Spike Kohlbecker, but now he's going to go with a little bit of crossover, almost a how you doing between Bell and Kohlbecker coming down through the chicane of the exit of the hairpin. Now this is going to be advantage Jackson Bell if he can hold on to the line here at this point. They're going to run their way down into Cunningham. Weston Workman trying to aid his teammate a little bit, give him a little bit of the draft. Now moves back onto the line, and Bell gets it done.
Yeah, a little clobbering of the mirrors there, and that's kind of been the evidence of good battling here in Toyota GR Cup North America, as half the cars will come back into pit lane with their wing mirrors folded in, like Jackson Bell's left side mirror. The good news is it's driver's side. If you can reach it through the belts, you can pop that back out so you can see. But if the passenger mirror folds in, then you have a hard time seeing out the right side.
I don't think any of these drivers have long enough arms to be able to make that work.
Some might.
Some might. Incident between car 51 and 44 is under review. That is Adam Brickley and Aiden Yoder.
Yeah, I didn't see them get together, so that must have happened off camera somewhere, but we'll keep an eye on that as Workman works through turn 16 and up onto the back straightaway. They've lost time. No, go figure. They were battling amongst themselves, but with this redone order, I'm curious to see if they can start making inroads on Gresham Wagner, because some might look at this timing screen and say, man, 4.4 seconds in 12 minutes, Wagner's gone. But there's still 33 minutes of racing to go. If you can pull away a 10th, 2/10 a lap, you'll get back to Gresham Wagner. It just looks so much like when we were here at Sebring last time with Gonzalez out front.
Yeah, it really does. My question here, though, is that we've seen Spike Kohlbecker be aggressive and want to get his way on back by. What's Jackson Bell going to do? Remember, he and Weston Workman are teammates, so is there a little bit of Copeland Motorsports communication based off that little jink to the inside there for Jackson Bell? I don't think there is.
Are they fighting for best of the rest already is the question with 33 minutes to go. Line to stern, the rest of the field runs nose to tail down the front straightaway. Casey Mashore, Matty Oust, and here's the 77 William Lambros, the Skip Barber Racing School car. This is his second round in this series, a little wide there at the exit of turn 1, goes for an off-road excursion. Again, his first time running in this series in rear-wheel drive equipment as opposed to the front-wheel drive touring cars he ran in TC America last season.
And that mistake is going to allow for the 77 there of William Lambros for Skip Barber Racing to be, or excuse me, of the 14 of Alex Garcia for Skip Barber Racing to be able to get back and on by him. So good move there for Alex Garcia. As I said earlier, pulling double duty this weekend. Here is one driver that's impressing me, though, is here they come back up through the corners. And look at this, Kyle. Look who's starting to catch on in. Lucas Weisenberg not too far behind this battle for the top 2 podium positions.
Yeah, so similar to Sonoma, and Weisenberg and Kohlbecker also had a bit of a scrum down at turn 9 last time they were there together as well. And of course, Jordan Rixagreeni's got his right front fender folded in slightly as well. So he's had some dramas earlier in this race, but not enough to affect anything. Just evidence of some scuffling early in this event.
Yeah, and Lucas Weisenberg here, a winner from last season, able to take victory at Virginia International Raceway. We always like to talk about this. So it's kind of in contrast to Copeland Motorsports, BSI Racing, Precision Racing LA, these big powerhouse teams. This is a family-run operation. This is just Lucas out there, and you always got to have a little bit of a place in your heart for the little guy like that.
While this is happening, DJ, have a look at the timing tower there, 3.9. That gap is smaller than it was a lap ago. Weston Workman is closing in on Wagner. He was about a half a second quicker through Sector 1 last time around. So if they continue this trend, I know it's really early to be a trend, but if they continue this, they will run down Gresham Wagner before this race is over. And actually, Workman's separating himself from Jackson Bell, even driving away, which is one of the things I've really enjoyed about this series. You're not locked to the draft. You can drive away, as we've seen with Wagner and now Weston Workman. You're not stuck with the group of cars that you're driving in. This car is slippery, and you are able to use your driver talent and your car setup to drive away from cars behind you if you're so inclined.
Well, Kyle, you read that right. Workman has been able to get the gap down a little bit more. It's 4.1 seconds at the line, but that's about 4/10 of a second, 4/10 of a lap faster on that last lap for Weston Workman. So he's definitely starting to pull in a little bit, and it doesn't look like Jackson Bell is starting to threaten nearly as much. So a little bit of both back and forth there, I think, helping out that Copeland Motorsports number 13.
It just needs to be a trend. It can't be one sector here and one sector there. He's got to continue to eke in on Gresham Wagner. And if Wagner looks up in the rearview mirror and sees that car coming, maybe that changes how he does battle. Jade Avedisi and Max Hewitt and the 21 of Ford Cook. This is a great scrap for position back in the order a little ways. Looks like for about 21st spot.
Yeah, 21st, 22nd, 21st as they run right now as they try to get their way forward. Jade Avedisi doing an absolutely fantastic job to get her way up through. Here's Tyler Wettengill, the number 80, contact with the 50 machine there of Casey Mashore.
And Wettengill goes around right on the apex of turn 7. See if he got the clutch in time. And Ford Cook grinds to a halt trying to miss him. Blind corner entry here as well. So that's a bad spot to be stopped, but two cars going for the same place on the racetrack. That didn't work out.
No, it didn't. We'll have to get another look at that to see exactly what happens here. Mashore down to the inside. That's a little bit of a late move from Mashore, but that's also a little bit of a turn in there from 80. How would you judge that?
The 50 was in there way too deep. He was focused on outbraking the car that was alongside him and just blew past the car he was alongside of and got into the 80. So for me, that's on the 50, but we'll see what happens with race control here. He has not been able to move. The car is stalled, and if he doesn't move, that could draw a full course yellow and completely change the future of this race.
He moved a little bit there, so I think he may still have it in gear. We're going to check back in on the battle for P2, as it looks like Workman and Bell. There he goes, the number 80 back out and moving there. That Nitro Motorsports machine of Tyler Wettengill back out onto the track saves us from a full course yellow. This, though, the battle for P2, as Workman and Bell have really broken away from Spike Kohlbecker here on this last lap. And when they first crossed over the stripe on the last lap, they were only about 5/10 ahead. About a second ahead here at this point. I think there was a mistake on that last lap from Spike Kohlbecker.
Yeah, it seems like they have separated themselves away from that 55 of Tech Sport Racing. Lucas Weisenberg just ran a personal best lap, though, so he is closing back in on those two cars, or three cars rather, as Weston Workman and Jackson Bell run really tight nose to tail through turn 1 out to the edge of the road. And how about a drop in the grass there, or what's left of it at the exit of turn 1?
I think it's pretty much dirt on the outside here at this point. By the way, to our theory a little bit earlier about trends versus an anomaly, Gresham Wagner responding on that last lap at 226.295 compared to Weston Workman's 226.803. So I think it's safe to say that Gresham has this under control, and this may be a battle for the best of the rest.
It sure could be. And Workman and Bell teammates again with Copeland Motorsports. And we were talking earlier this weekend about how potentially the battles within the Copeland Motorsports team could be even more fierce as drivers look to really be the team leader within the organization on track and off. Of course, the same could be said about the BSI Racing camp here, especially when Jordan Rick-Segrini, jumping onto the team for the first time since Indianapolis, is leading. Safety car and trouble for the 15. That's a big hit to the nose of that number 15 Toyota.
Yeah, that's Bennett Muldoon. And that is some pretty massive damage there on the front of that machine. What are you noticing there, Kyle?
The left rear is also torn up as well, the rear fender. So that car has been hit in multiple places. So that, again, totally changes the trajectory of this race. And Gresham Wagner did not want to see the double yellow waving flags. So as we will get picked up by the Toyota GR86 safety car, I've got to see where that car is on track also. So that's a bizarre one for me. But that's unfortunate for Bennett Muldoon in the 15 for the Bennett Motorsports crew. But first full course yellow of the weekend here, DJ, and we had a couple of these at Sonoma as well. Race 1, it didn't change a lot because it was pretty early in the race. Race 2, though, it set up a pretty frantic battle to the end.
Yeah, and I wonder here at this point how this is going to fan out for the rest of this field. I mean, remember at the beginning of this, we had Henry Drury starting alongside Gresham Wagner. Henry's fallen back to 7th place here at this point. and we had to see the likes of Workman, Kohlbecker, and Bell kind of fight their way back up. And I think now that they're going to be on top of Gresham Wagner, this is going to absolutely change the complexion of this race. Gresham, there you see doing a lot of weaving, trying to clean up some of the clag off of those tires, trying to get them as clean as possible, get as much contact, and good to see there. That is very good to see for Bennett Muldoon getting up and out of that car.
Yeah, these cars are incredibly safe and very strong as well. We've seen them take some pretty sizable hits. As here's a look at the replay for Bennett Muldoon, and was there some assistance? Yep, and bam! Oh, into the Armco. Just missed the tire bundles there, DJ, and it looked like, was that into 5 potentially?
Yeah, I think it was. That's coming off of that area, and yeah, it looked like there was a little bit of contact there, and that sent him around. And as you said, into that Armco directly, and yes, there is give in that Armco. It is designed to absorb a little bit, but it will not absorb nearly as much as the tire bundles that he hit in the second part of that. So once again, great to see that number 15 driver, Bennett Muldoon, is okay and able to get out of that car.
Yeah, Toyota builds a very safe race car. Without speaking on a turn, I think it was the 43 of Alex Hayner. That was the car right behind him that had contact. But again, would have to get another look at it. But either way, glad to see that Bennett climbed out of that car. As you mentioned, the Armco's got some give to it. Doesn't mean it's soft, but certainly better than concrete in that instance. But you see the debris on drivers left there as well as drivers navigate through. This will take a moment to get this thing on the hook and pulled off the race course, but we should get some racing left with 23 minutes on the board still.
All right, well, let's talk about the front of the field here at this point. This is obviously where our eyes are going to be focused when things start to go. If you're Gresham Wagner, what's your strategy here at this point?
Drive away. I mean, get a really great restart, right? The only option he's got is to just get out of Dodge as quickly as he can, because Weston Workman is going to be following his tire tracks for the rest of this race, and Jackson Bell's right there as well. Think back to when we were here in September, DJ. Jackson Bell passed, I don't know how many cars, but it seemed like a billion of them. So Jackson Bell in the 99 is going to be very aggressive trying to get his first win in this series. And Weston Workman was a lap away from one at Sonoma. He is as hungry as Wagner is.
Well, and if you are the likes of Workman and Bell, how are you going to be able to get that to set here at this point?
So when you get to the restart here, DJ, when we go through turn 17, we get back to the restart zone. Wagner, Workman, Bell, Kohlbecker, Weisenberg, all 5 of those cars are going to restart on top of each other. But, we're going to get down to turn 1. We restart single file, right? But you can't pass until the green flag is out, but it is a long front straightaway. The draft is a factor, and certainly cars that are just outside the top 5 could be a factor as well, including that of Henry Drury. Now, Henry Drury, this is an interesting story. We mentioned that he's a 24-year-old English-born driver that lives in Tampa, Florida, but he is the winner of the inaugural PT Autosport Aspiring Driver Shootout. They've provided opportunities for diverse drivers through a development program for young drivers, engineers, and mechanics and other professionals, and they've got their annual Aspiring Driver Shootout for drivers between the ages of 18 and 23, where they compete for a team racing partnership in which Henry Drury was the winner of the first annual shootout, and they provide financial support to pursue their racing career. They also do the same for race engineers, mechanics, and other professionals in motorsport. So a really cool program, and has put a driver inside the top 10. I'm always supportive of that. Yeah,
and one of the things that really stuck out to me about that was the emphasis on folks that had never been in the car before, particularly looking at sim racers, looking at complete neophytes coming on in. And Kyle, you and I obviously come from a sim racing background. That's something near and dear to my heart. And I had a wonderful conversation earlier on in the week about, making that transition, because a lot of folks, if you got that speed in the simulator, yeah, you're going to need to train on a few things and make a few things different. But if you've got the speed in the sim, you could transfer those skills more than likely over to a car.
Well, speaking of the simulator, we've got the Toyota GR Cup Esports Championship running a week before each of these rounds all season long. And a couple of drivers that have been participating in that include second place Weston Workman and 11th place Aiden Yoder, and a handful of others, including Adam Brickley and even Devin Anderson participated last week out. Jordan Rick-Segreini's also planned on participating in that championship, but Workman was driving through the entire field once again in the iRacing event last week and got some practice in racecraft racecraft here at Sebring International Raceway.
Well, and that's part of it is that practice in work in racecraft that you are able to get and be able to get your way ahead. Is there they come across the start-finish stripe right now under Tom Hansing, our flagman here at this point. Some beautiful overhead shots, and this is exactly what we were talking about earlier here, Kyle. This part of the racing circuit, the Ullman Straight and the start-finish straightaway, those are the traditional taxiways, runways of the old Air Force Base, and they've never been repaved.
They're several feet thick. It would be very challenging to repave them, even if anybody wanted to, which nobody does. It's got so much character here. The big thing to consider when we come here in the spring or the fall when it's so warm is that the feet of concrete kind of act like a heat sink. They soak up sun a lot slower than the asphalt that the rest of the track is paved from. So when you go from concrete to asphalt, there's a grip level change, and it's fairly significant as well. They also pick up rubber in different ways. The concrete is abrasive, picks up marbles in different ways. So it's one of the many challenges of Sebring International Raceway is those old concrete sections. And one of my favorite things up in the booth when we hear the GR Cup cars go by is you actually hear the expansion joints, just like a highway, the boom, 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 as they come down the straightaway. It's really neat to hear.
Yeah, it really is special. We also caught a glimpse there of Bennett Muldoon's number 15 getting put onto the rollback here at this point. Not altogether surprising, so much damage on the front of that car that they weren't able to tow it away. That does mean that they're going to take a little bit more time to get this under control. I wouldn't be surprised if we maybe see another lap of safety car after this, because just acting out of abundance of caution, making sure that no fluids were put down on the track, anything like that.
Yeah, that's a shame too, because it means the car isn't going to roll. And with another race tomorrow, you know, the challenges of having a championship where 2 rounds are done in one weekend, if your car is too damaged to continue, you're actually giving up 2 races instead of 1. But we've seen some amazing things done by the race teams already this year in repairing cars that were damaged in sessions even earlier that day. So best of luck to the Bennett Racing team to see if they can get that thing repaired. But that was a enormous hit there for that 15 car.
Well, and let's draw attention here and draw a little bit of praise to not just the individual team that has to put that car together, but the entire paddock, because we have seen multiple times opposing teams willing to lend a hand, offering parts, offering spares to be able to get that car back out here, and that's one of the beautiful things about the motor racing community.
Yeah, certainly. They're all working together here. Everyone's kind of fighting for the same fight as well. But as we head down towards Tower Turn 13, I see lots of drivers weaving their Continentals back and forth. That's typically something you would see done before a restart here, DJ. Single file restarts here. We'll have just over 15 minutes to go, and great news, the GR86 safety car has extinguished the light bar on top, and that means we are going back racing in race 1 here at Sebring.
Yes, we are. It's going to be a good run here for that, as Jordan Ricciagrini there, I believe, has a little bit of a piece sticking up off the right side of that car. I thought I noticed that earlier. Doesn't look like it's anything.
No, he's doing a great job.
No,
again,
he's doing a fantastic job.
For not having been in a race car, I can't tell you how challenging it is to sit out of a race car for months and months and months and jump right back into a championship of this caliber and be able to compete at a high level. So big props to Jordan Ricciagrini and BSI Racing, and big thanks to the partners for making it happen for him this weekend. I know he was originally supposed to be at Sonoma, wasn't able to make that, but BSI Racing's got a strong camp of drivers here this weekend, including Julian DaCosta, who runs 12th right now in his first season here in GR Cup North America. So great work by that team. DJ, it's about time to get back rolling, and Gresham Wagner was dreading this moment. He had a 4-second lead, and it's all gone.
Yes, it is. And crucial here to remember that it is different restart zone from the initial start zone. Wagner is able to go basically at the bridge coming through Sunset Bend. You can't make a pass until you get to the start-finish line, but they are able to accelerate from that bridge. As they get on the loud pedal and start to accelerate away, still waiting for the official drop of the green flag as they get their way out. Single file line of GR86 Cup cars as there goes the green. We are back racing again. Contact in the back.
That's the 31. He's going to hit the right side way hard. That's a huge impact for, I believe that's the 31 car, into the concrete and grinds to a halt. And that is likely going to bring out another full course yellow, because that is on the front straightaway. It's challenging to extract cars here, but no yellow yet. They're going to let him race for a little while longer. Here comes the 13 of Weston Workman down the inside.
He's going to get a nose ahead as they try to get their way through, hopping over the curb. There is Gresham Wagner. They're going to try to fight their way along. It's going to be a straight drag race as they go down, but it's going to be advantage Gresham Wagner.
This is a really important pass for Weston Workman. If we get a yellow, it could end the race. He could be the winner if he makes this pass before the yellow flag comes out. This is frantic, and he knows it. He'll be told on the radio that there's a yellow flag coming. Breaking duel into turn 7 here as Jackson Bell watches from third.
Bell watches from third, looking, trying to think about a little bit of a crossover. There is Weston Workman. He's going to go up over the grass, and there's the yellow flag.
Yeah, that will arrest the momentum of this battle once again. Workman was so close to having that done, but with 15 minutes to go and quite a bit of debris on the front straightaway, we will see what happens here, DJ, but that is not looking good for Weston Workman if he wanted to come home a winner in the first race of the weekend here at Sebring.
He's got the speed to do it, and he's certainly got the tenacity to do it as well. A very, very impressive display there from Weston Workman, trying to push his way forward as they go, as they try to be able to get their way ahead. And this is going to bring out safety vehicles here at this point.
Yeah, was I wrong about the number of that car is my question. I thought it was the 31, but I didn't get a great look at it because it was nose on. But there's a couple orange and white cars that are of similar livery. But either way, we're back under caution and full course yellow. And in 20th place, that's Farron Davis, the 11. That's the other orange and white car it could have been. So I think I had that right. But we will wait and see as the field comes back under control of the Toyota GR86 safety car. So now what we wanted to see, DJ, it's a big mess on the front straightaway, and after Sonoma, we had done a pretty good job there. Never liked tearing up race cars, especially on a restart, but that's how critical making up positions is on restarts.
It looks like we've got to look inside the car there at that point. I can see a little bit of movement. Safety crews are talking to him here at this point. A little bit of oil dry down on the circuit. Let's watch what happened here, Kyle. See what you can see.
So I think he's got the 44 of Aiden Yoder behind him potentially, but it breaks the suspension, and he was just along for the ride at that point.
Yeah, really had nothing he could do spearing across the track. Great heads up from the drivers behind him at that point to avoid any further contact, because with that car spearing across the track like that, that could have been absolutely disastrous and caught another car in that melee.
Okay, it is the 31 now that I see the sticker on the rear. So yeah, it was just a little bit of front to rear contact, and the car speared off to the left, hit the concrete, and we were just talking about the previous accident, how the Armco has some give, the concrete does not. It snapped the left front suspension, and then at that point there was absolutely nothing he could have done about that, but that'll be a frustrating end of the day for Luke Rumberg in the 31.
Yeah, and you noticed there Gresham Wagner as well as the other field kind of trying to make their way closer to those cars. It's just trying to avoid that debris field, because there was the big thwap on driver's left and then obviously the hit over onto driver's right, and there is some debris strewn across that start-finish line.
Yeah, it's that's a messy one for sure. And again, sometimes the debris in these GR Cup cars, when you have some fender contact, it's usually those plastic fender liners, but as a driver inside the car, you can't really get a good look at what that is, and you don't want to hit it and find out that it weighs 10 pounds and destroy your own car in the process. So behind the control of the safety car, Wagner and Workman are going to follow wherever Mike Stillwagon drives that safety car, just to make sure that they're staying out of harm's way here and give the safety workers a wide berth to address that vehicle at the exit of turn 17. But two yellows impacting the momentum of our first race of the weekend of round 2 for Toyota GR Cup North America. Let's talk a bit about the rest of the season though, DJ, because in just a couple of weeks we head to Austin, Texas and Circuit of the Americas for a very big weekend in SRO America. It's going to be fantastic, but we also got to see some fantastic racing with these cars there last year.
It was one of my highlights of the season. Absolutely incredible battling in kind of a damp, dreary day. It was a little bit of moisture out on the track, really changed things up. I think about some great qualifying performances of, for example, Kat Lauren being able to put down I think, top 5, top 10 qualifying performance, get her way up into that situation. I talked to her after that, and she said that it was because she had actually done some Baja driving, that she felt like that lack of grip really played into her way.
Yeah, of course, we've got COTA coming up, and then Virginia International Raceway. We had some great last lap battles there last year. Road America, of course, the National Park of Speed, Barber Motorsports Park on the calendar this year, a new track on the SRO America calendar. At least we haven't been there in about a decade. And then, of course, we've got the season finale at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, which also put on some great racing, and that will be where the championship is decided. But let me tell you, Wagner and Workman and Bell, they're putting a lot of points in the points bucket early in the season, and that will pay dividends later in the year when inevitably you've got something go wrong, whether it be a mechanical issue or getting caught up in an accident. Building up a little bit of the ability to have a mulligan, that will benefit you when we get to Indianapolis at the end of the year.
Yeah, the more points you have in that bucket, to continue on your analogy, the more full it is, that's going to give you more breathing room. And what that breathing room is going to do is it's going to be twofold as a driver. Number one, it's going to take the pressure off your back. You're going to be able to drive a little more uninhibited as you go. And then secondly, it's going to allow you, if you get behind in a race, to push a little bit more, to be more aggressive if you need to, and to frankly just have fun when you drive.
That's all part of it, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely, especially in a development series where drivers are really learning a lot. Remembering to have fun is half of the battle as well sometimes, especially when it gets so fierce at the front of the field. There's Tyler Wettingel. How about this? This is a great break for that number 80. Remember, he was spun around at turn 7, lost a bunch of time, but with the full course yellow, he's able to close back up to the field and have another run to make up positions. Yeah,
he'll be in a good position here to try to gain some spots, and I think this actually does come back to help a lot of the drivers that were put out of position here at this point. I want to take a particular interest here at Jade Avedizian, the number 24 machine. As Jade has done a great job. She is up to 14th here at this point.
Yeah, Jade has done an excellent job this season. Remember, she had that accident at Sonoma that put her kind of behind the 8 ball there in the points, but she had to start at the tail of the field. There was some sort of a penalty levied prior to the race. She was supposed to start 10th. She didn't, but she has driven all the way up to 14th place, making up for lost time, and it will really assist her if we can get back green. If we don't get back green, she'll have a decent day, but I think she can have a better one should we get a few more laps of action.
Yeah, and you can see her there kind of just holding her hand out of the side of the car there at that point. Folks, that's just how hot it is. She's just trying to get a little bit more clean air, a little bit more cool air onto herself. I'm frankly surprised you don't see a few more drivers doing that here at this point, because it is a very toasty day out there.
Yeah, there's a lot of safety trucks there on the right tending to the 31. Now, he's already climbed out of the car. He's all right, but I wonder also with the level of impact that we saw on the right, if that could have potentially moved one of those barriers slightly out of line. They will not like those barriers even having the slightest bit of poke in relation to each other. Those things weigh 9,000 pounds apiece, by the way, so it takes a lot of energy to move them, but it was a pretty big hit there on driver's right.
Yeah, it really was. It was a lesser hit on driver's left, the one that actually broke the suspension, but then to have that car spear across the track certainly
I should clarify, it's the concrete blocks that weigh 9,000 pounds, not the car. The car weighs about 2,600, in case anyone was wondering. But
I was just wondering how you have stored in your knowledge that it weighs 9,000 pounds.
It came up a couple of years ago when we were at the Nashville Street Course the first time, because there was an accident there that moved the barriers like 5 or 6 feet, and there was a bit of research done about that, and yeah, 9,000 pounds per block of those things. So that car has yet to be able to be moved as we tick down time. 7 minutes to go, and about 4.5 minutes per lap behind the safety car here, DJ, so we begin that delicate dance of running down the clock and deciding when we can restart.
Yeah, we'll have to see what this ends up being at this point. As you can see on your screen there, it is Gresham Wagner from Weston Workman and Jackson Bell. Spike Colbecker, who looked like he was going to be the early driver to challenge Wagner. He is in 4th place. Lucas Weisenberg 5th. Jordan Rick-Sagrini, who we cannot talk enough about that BSI number 18's drive up through the field, is in 6th place. Then Henry Drury, Adam Brickley, Aiden Yoder, and Julian DaCosta rounding out your top 10.
Yeah, Julian DaCosta made up a couple spots on that restart. Remember, he was 12th or 13th. He's now top 10, one of the other BSI racing drivers looking to grab some points here in this race. I'd say maybe some missed opportunities, and we always talk about how important qualifying is. Mia Level, P12, not a bad day, but she was running top 5 at Sonoma. She was running top 5 in practice all weekend, but going back to qualifying, when those Copeland Motorsports cars lined up at the exit of pit lane under the red flag that got them that penalty, they weren't able to get the results they were hoping for, and that has really strangulated her efforts to get back up inside the top 5 and compete for podiums.
Well, the one bit of good news here for Mia and the rest of that Copeland Motorsports camp is the simple fact that unlike any of the other series here in the SRO Motorsports America portfolio, we do this again tomorrow. We qualify again tomorrow for Toyota GR Cup North America, so that means we're going to see a more representative grid of what this can be, and I very much expect the likes of Jade Avedisi, Mia Lovell, Aiden Yoder to get their way, maybe even looking at a top 10 here.
I would definitely agree with that. Behind Mia Level is Alex Garcia, again celebrating his college graduation this weekend, just outside the top 10. There's the 25 car, by the way, which we saw have a bit of a scrap in qualifying this morning, but currently being sorted out. Alfonso Diaz in the Tech Sport Racing car, as the field fans out, starting to warm up their Continentals and get the clag off of them for a potential restart. But based on the scale of the cleanup on the front straightaway, DJ, I'm hoping, but maybe not optimistic.
Yeah, we'll have to see what ends up shaking out here at this point. We tick closer, about 5 minutes and 10 seconds left to go. There's taking a look there at the number 14 machine.
Yeah.
That is that Alex Garcia with the Orlando Family Medical on the side. I mean, talk about a great graduation present.
I was going to say, what a graduation present for him, and he's participating in his own present, being inside the top 15 in the points here in Toyota GR Cup North America for that Skip Barber Racing team. Nicely done there. I don't see a white flag, so that's good news. We've still got the double yellows out. Maybe we could get one more lap if we are able to get back around and have those safety trucks clear out, because we were close to getting a white. It's about 4 minutes and 8 seconds per lap here under the safety car conditions, and we cross the stripe with 4 minutes 30. So maybe, but again, drivers seem like they're preparing.
Yeah, and credit there actually to the whole race control team here at this point, recognizing, doing that math, getting things up to snuff, because if you remember on the last time around, it was about 4 minutes and 30 seconds. They sped that up a little bit to 4:08. I think they're trying to get a one-lap shootout here.
Oh boy, can you imagine a one-lap shootout with 1, 2, 3 Copeland Motorsports cars at the front of the field, all trying to steal glory from their teammate, and then Spike Kolbecker in the 55 right behind Lucas Weisenberg, trying to repeat their successes from Sonoma. Jordan Rick-Signorini trying to make an impact in the BSI Racing team. This is going to be fantastic if we get that restart that we're all hoping for. Henry Drury 7th, Brickley 8th, Aiden Yoder 9th, and Julian DaCosta 10th, as you pointed out. It's going to be a frantic run to the checkers should we get a green flag restart here.
Yeah, this is going to be a little bit crazy if things go the way we are hoping here at this point. A very, very good run. And there you can see everybody just doing that weaving. And as we've talked about a couple of times, when you're going this slow, Kyle, it's not necessarily that you're heating up the tires as much. When you're weaving like that, it's much more about getting rid of any of those pieces of marbles, any debris that you've picked up, just things like that.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier, about this racetrack having different surfaces. The concrete's pretty abrasive, especially turns 1 and 17. There's lots of marbles that collect offline, and as soon as you cool down the racing tires, you're going to pick up all those marbles on your car. Now, great news, the 31 is on the rollback and off of the racetrack, and the safety trucks are leaving the scene. It's unfortunate that that car has so much damage, but it will go back to the attention of that race team in the paddock, and hopefully they can sort something out for tomorrow, but that is a lot of damage on that car. 2 minutes and 25 seconds to go as the field follows the GR86 safety car here, queuing up for a potential restart, and it will be a one-lap shootout if we get it.
Yes, it will. Fastest lap times are about 2:26 is what we're looking at. We take a look there at the number 51 of Adam Brickley, one of those drivers that we highlighted as one of the young guns here in the field. Lights are still on the safety car, but they have until the back straightaway to turn them out. So that is the final go, no-go portion of the track where we will see that, and we should get an idea. I am seeing corner workers there putting those yellow flags away, so that to me would be an indication that we are going to go back to green.
If you're Gresham Wagner, you're looking to continue stacking up points in your column for the rest of the season and continue the sweeping of the rounds that he's done so far. If you're Weston Workman, you're looking to pick up your first victory in this series. Same for Jackson Bell. Spike Kolbecker would like to get in the wins column in 2024. Lucas Weisenberg hasn't won since July of last year. He would absolutely love to steal one from 5th place. And that might seem unreasonable until you consider in a one-lap dash, everybody's going to be on pounce mode here. And you get down to the hairpin at turn 7, who knows what will happen.
Yeah, who knows what will happen. It does look like that safety car slowed down a little bit. Lights are still on, so we want to keep you abreast of that. 1 minute left to go on the clock. We're going to have to wait and see what this call is from race control. And obviously, this is going to be done out of abundance of caution. We do not want to let these GR Cup cars go if the racetrack is not clear to be able to run on.
So, as we head up onto the back straightaway, the pace has slowed down quite a bit, and the lights are still on.
And that is an official call here from race control that we will not be restarting the race. That is right, we will not be restarting the race. So this will be win number 3 on the season for Gresham Wagner.
Yeah, that's not the way we wanted this to end, certainly, but I think you mentioned out of the abundance of caution reasons for that. Car 50 drive-through penalty for incident responsibility, but that's going to be converted to time because he has no time to serve that. That's Casey Mashore, and that will be for the contact that we saw down at turn 7 with the 80 of Tyler Wettingel, if you remember that spin. That penalty coming too late to serve a drive-through, so that again will be converted to a post-race time penalty. But we talked about stacking up points in the wins column for Gresham Wagner, DJ, and batting 1,000 here so far in 2024.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's able to do here at this point, but the checkered flag is in the air, and for the third time this year, it will be Gresham Wagner taking victory, and an all Copeland Motorsports podium here with Weston Workman and Jackson Bell. Workman, the main protagonist to Gresham Wagner back in Sonoma, but the first podium this year, and I believe of all time, for Jackson Bell.
Yeah, Jackson has been in contention for podiums for a very long time, but I think this might be his first podium actually in 2024, but in his career here in Toyota GR Cup North America. Spike Kolbecker for Tech Sport Racing finishing 4th place, then Lucas Weisenberg in 5th. Jordan Rick-Segrini in his first appearance back since Indianapolis in the BSI Racing number 18, 6th place. A great solid top 10, followed by Henry Drury for the Precision Racing LA with PT Autosport team, Adam Brickley, Aiden Yoder, and Julian DaCosta, the rest of your top 10. So a bit of a shorter race than we were expecting because of the 2 yellow flags, but here are the unofficial Toyota GR Cup North America results here for the time being. Gresham Wagner wins over Weston Workman, his teammate Jackson Bell, another Copeland Motorsports car, in 3rd, then Kolbecker, Weisenberg, and Rick Segrini rounding out your top 6. Then it's Henry Drury in 7th place. Again, that PT Autosport championship winner who grabbed his scholarship to race here. Adam Brickley, Aiden Yoder, and Julian DaCosta rounding out your top 10. Stephen Clemens in the 76, that's the Indava Toyota, P11 for him, me a level 12 in her Copeland Motorsports car. Alex Garcia graduates college and picks up a 13th here in race 1. Jade Avedizian drove through half the field to finish 14th in her number 24 Mobil 1 sponsored Toyota. Matty Oust, 15th place in the 09 car, then Braden Arthur in the 34 for JMF Motorsports. Devin Anderson for Tech Sport Racing finishes 17th, then Farron Davis 18th, William Lambros 19th in the 77 for Skip Barber Race School, and Max Hewitt finishes 20th for BSI Racing. Then it's Alex Hayner, 21st in the number 43. That incident with the other car that was involved in the collision, the 14, that will be reviewed post-race between herself and the 14. Alfonso Diaz, 22nd. Then Ford Cook, 23rd. Tyler Wettengel, 24th, after that spin at turn 7. James Clemus, 25th in the 61 car. Casey Mashore, a post-race penalty applied for the number 50. Luke Rumberg, Bennett Muldoon starts 28th, and Spencer Bucknam, 29th. Not the best result there for Spencer Bucknam. Unfortunately, he'll have to go again tomorrow in race number 2. Let's have a look at some of the race highlights from this first race. We had plenty of action in this first one until those double yellow flags. On the initial start, it was a launch by the number 50 of Gresham Wagner, a strong getaway there. It was a good battle down into the Cunningham corner with the 80 and the 31. Little touch there, some rubbing Continental fender as they worked their way through. Great battle here between Weston Workman and the 55 of Spike Kohlbecker. Then side by side a bit later between Kohlbecker and Jackson Bell as Bell worked his way towards Podium, right ahead of Lucas Weisenberg. Here's the big trouble. The number 15 of Bennett Muldoon into the wall. That was an unfortunate wreck, but Bennett is okay, happy to report. Then it was a restart and a collision that led to the end of the race for the 31 and the end of the race for everybody else. Gresham Wagner wins race 1 here at Sebring in Toyota GR Cup North America. Race 2 tomorrow. Cars roll down into pit lane and head for the podium, at least those top 3 from Copeland Motorsports. And while we didn't get all the green flag racing we were hoping for, it is just the first of 2 races in round 2 for 2024. Of course, tomorrow another 45 minutes to contest. I'm sure one of the topics of discussion will be restart procedures to hopefully prevent the kind of collision we saw when we went back racing earlier after that first full course yellow. Gresham Wagner coming back to the attention of the crew and in a familiar place where he has been in all the races so far this season. Swept at Sonoma and keeps the broom out to begin the sweep of Sebring. And he is off to a great start here, climbing out of the car and celebrating with the team. We knew when he signed on with Copeland Motorsports that he would be a driver to beat all year long, and so far, no one has been able to beat him. As Gresham pulls the gloves off and begins to undo the helmet, let's go down to Amanda Busick and talk with our race winner, Gresham Wagner.
Yeah, and you'll see that winter hat go on Gresham Wagner. He's also going to get the Continental cuff around his neck for 3 races of the season to equal 3 wins. And Gresham, I know today's probably not the way you wanted to see the checkered flag, but what did you learn today that you can apply forwards to race number 2?
I mean, I learned that Weston is definitely capable of fighting me for the win. We only had a half a lap to try there, but I had it a bit easy at the start with him, you know, qualifying a bit farther back than I expected. So, you know, it isn't the most exciting, I guess, way to win under a yellow, but I thought I did the work early on to deserve the win either way. But I expect that, you know, if we have a long run tomorrow and Weston's up there, that it'll be a closer fight.
Guys, I think Gresham may have just previewed what we're going to see in race number 2 at Sebring. That's it for us here for the first race at Sebring for the Toyota GR Cup weekend. We'll see you tomorrow.